The Wichita Symphony Orchestra is busy this week and next week. It is a busy month. They are currently performing for Wichita area school children. And then this weekend, the Wichita Symphony Orchestra youth groups are playing. The youth orchestra concerts are this weekend. And coming up in just a couple of weeks, we have their next Masterworks concert. Featuring the Wichita Symphony Chorus performing Mozart's Requiem. Also featured is principal trumpet player David Hunsinger playing Haydn's Trumpet Concerto, and the evening starts off with music by contemporary composer Caroline Shaw. And I just so happened to have, and he just walked in, to be honest, Daniel Hege from the Wichita Symphony Orchestra here with me in the green room. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, Katelyn. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for joining me as always. This is an exciting concert for several reasons. We
Mhm.
always love listening to the chorus whenever they are featured. And the Mozart Requiem is a really special work. And I think a lot of people would recognize it. If I think most of us, of a certain age, have watched the movie Amadeus several
Yes,
times,
yes,
and it's prominent in that movie.
it really is. I remember seeing it when it came out in 1986, and I was just blown away by that movie. And of course, the Requiem had a big part all the way through, and very dramatic filming at the end where it shows Mozart dying and dictating to Salieri, which makes for good film. We don't know how accurate all of that was, but then I got to see the film about 30 years later on the big screen again, and I was just as bowled over by that film. So I recommend to anyone, if you want to see a very good movie about Mozart, it has a lot of great music in it. Samuel Ramey singing a lot of the arias in there, then you should watch Amadeus.
I didn't realize it was his voice in the movie.
Quite a bit, quite a bit.
What? I love knowing that. Now I'm
I
going to go
was
back and watch it.
I was sitting there thinking, who is this bass baritone? It sounds amazing. And then I watched the credits, and there he was.
Of course.
Of course, it was Samuel Ramey.
The symphony chorus is featured on November the 19th, Saturday evening, the 19th at 7:30. The concert, of course, is in the concert hall, Century 2. Um, and the pieces on it, not only the Mozart Requiem, but also the Haydn Trumpet Concerto is also quite a well-known work. There are parts of it that I feel that many of us have heard, and we might not really know where. Just a melody that is familiar.
Sure. That first movement of the Haydn Trumpet Concerto is used countless times. In fact, I even realized it was on Squid Game, which was a Netflix TV show, a Korean show, and they
Yeah, I
used
watched it.
The Haydn Trumpet Concerto was featured in it. And it's on a lot of jingles. So that first movement especially is on many aspects of pop culture. And the second movement of the Haydn Trumpet Concerto was used on auditions for a trumpet player to get into an orchestra quite frequently. So it's a major composition of Haydn's, written late in Haydn's life, actually.
And Caroline Shaw opens the concert. Um, a new, no, I don't want to say she's a new composer 'cause she's been recognized for years now, but she's a contemporary composer. She's still quite young. Her music is quite popular right now. She's very well respected. I think she's won a Grammy for her work as well.
She has won a Pulitzer when she was 30 years old. She won a Grammy just this past year. She's 40 now. She has been composing quite a bit. She's got a great resume. She went to Rice University for violin performance, then to Yale for a master's in violin performance, and then she went to Princeton for a PhD in composition, and now a Pulitzer Prize winner and also a Grammy Award winner for Best Classical Composition, Contemporary Classical Composition in 2022. So she's highly credentialed. A lot of people are seeking her out. She's been widely recorded. And we're playing a piece that's about 12, 13 minutes long, just for strings, called Entr'acte. And it's a wonderful little piece. And it works well with the Haydn Trumpet Concerto because she was actually inspired to write this piece for strings after she heard the Brentano string quartet playing a Haydn string quartet. So it was Haydn that made her want to write this piece. So she's playing, we're playing her work, and then we're going right into the Haydn Trumpet Concerto right after it. Works really well.
It does work well. What a great evening. We're going to get into some further details about the music, about the night at the Symphony. But let's take a few moments and listen to part of the Mozart Requiem. One of the selections, one of the movements that was featured greatly in Amadeus and is really well known is the Lacrimosa. And we have the Berlin Philharmonic and the Berlin Radio Symphony Orchestra Chorus performing this. And we'll be right back to speak more with Daniel Hege from the Wichita Symphony. The Lacrimosa from Mozart's Requiem, the Berlin Philharmonic and the Berlin Radio Symphony Orchestra Chorus. We get to hear that in person with the Wichita Symphony Orchestra and Chorus on Saturday, November the 19th at 7:30 in Century 2 Concert Hall. For tickets to this Masterworks concert, go to the Wichita Symphony website, which is wichitasymphony.org, or call the Symphony box office at 316-267-7658. I have Maestro Daniel Hege with me in the green room talking about the music, giving us a little bit of background information and some insights to enhance our listening experience. Katelyn Shaw, let's go back to her, our contemporary composer, being featured on the concert and opening up the concert with her piece Entr'acte. Tell us a little bit about her style, or maybe what our ears should be prepared to hear.
Sure. So first of all, the choice for having her was because we had two titans of the classical repertoire, Franz Joseph Haydn and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart on the same program. And they really come from similar kind of vein, really being kind of taking the classical style of classical music into its zenith. And so with that, I thought, I want to take something that has aspects of classical style, but is actually contemporary. And that's when Katelyn Shaw's piece, Entr'acte, came to mind. And I mentioned before, it's about 12 minutes long. It's only for strings, and it has a very tonal center, the way it begins, very tonal music. But then it has these funny little departures that will just simply go off into the mist for a moment, and then everything stops. And then it comes back to this kind of tonal center, kind of like this gravitational pull that pulls us back. And then suddenly it kind of departs again. She talks about it being a minuet in trio form. So she has a kind of a standard opening that we come back to each time, kind of like the minuet trio form. And then she has an internal section, which is just very different and very direct, lots of pizzicato, and pizzicato is when the string players pluck the string. And that's a wonderful little section, very tonal again. And then it has these moments where it just kind of starts to splinter off, almost like the main motif starts to accelerate and it starts to go up into the atmosphere. And then it ends with kind of a benediction. It's very beautiful. It's just for solo cello playing pizzicato, just plucked strings, but very, very tonal, everything very triadic. And it just kind of ends in this reposeful, but very, very quiet, very, very sedate, which I think sets the tone for what follows after that, which would be the Haydn Trumpet Concerto, which is very up and uplifting, very optimistic E-flat major.
Katelyn Shaw is the composer's name. I went to her website earlier this morning and I was listening to some of her pieces. She has several excerpts out there for people to listen to. Really interesting. There's something really earthy about her music. It seems familiar in a way. It should be great. Let's move on to the Mozart Requiem and the chorus. Talk to us about the Requiem itself.
Well, the Requiem is about 55 minutes long, and it follows that of a Requiem Mass. So it has the same movements, and it's sung in Latin. And for people who do, just to bring back the Amadeus movie, they'll remember some very, very dramatic moments in there, like the Confutatis movement is one, and the Voca Me. This is when all of this is being, quote, like I said, dictated from Mozart on his deathbed to Salieri. Now, we don't know how much truth is actually in that movie that was made, but we do know that the Mozart Requiem was not finished by Mozart. We know that it was unfinished at the time of his death, and there were about 8 bars of Lacrimosa written, and then there were other people that tried to finish it. Now, the one we're playing is by Franz Süssmayr. Süssmayr was a pupil of Mozart's and put everything together, all of the sketches, and basically finish it in the same style as Mozart. So we have that. And that's
Pardon me, Daniel. I'm off the mic here. I've coughed 3 times, I've blown my nose, and I've sneezed all during that wonderful talk about the Mozart. Oh, pardon me. I'm back now. So, yes, so we get a little bit of backstory about the Requiem, especially if we're familiar with the movie Amadeus and how they present Salieri dictating this final work of Mozart's. And of course, it features our chorus, and we heard them last year in the Schubert Mass, correct?
Mass and G. Yep.
And
Mhm.
we have soloists this year from Curtis Institute of Music, which will be kind of neat to kind of.
Yes, exactly right. Very esteemed musical institution, great conservatory, and they have a fantastic vocal program. So they will already come blending and singing as a quartet. So
Oh, that's great. All right. And then David Hunsinger, principal trumpet of the Symphony Orchestra. How wonderful that he is featured. And I really appreciate how it seems that each season you try to feature at least one of your principal musicians in a work on the stage. And that's always a treat, I think. Obviously we know our symphony orchestra is filled with wonderful musicians, but how lovely to be able to hear them in a solo aspect.
exactly. So at the Wichita Symphony, since we are a fully professional orchestra, we like to bring in a lot of well, I don't want to say celebrities, but really fantastic musicians who actually do a lot of touring. They come in and people might know them just from looking at YouTube or something like that. They might be very well known. So their artistry is something we really want to bring into our audiences. But like you said, we do have a lot of great talent that's right within the orchestra. So at least once a year, we try to find someone who should be playing a concerto, and David Hunsicker is really the one this year who gets to do that with the Haydn Trumpet Concerto. And he knows this piece so well. We were talking about it. He's written his own program notes about it, and he's done a lot of research, and he knows every note of that piece so well. He was saying that he's thinking about rehearsal where he just actually knows it so well. If he looks at the music, it'll almost be foreign to him because it's all there in his brain, ready to go. David is a very exciting artist and a wonderful musician, so we're happy to feature him on this.
I suppose if there was a piece of music, let's say he probably learned that, I mean, in college or even earlier, maybe started working on it when he was, in high school. And you think about how many years you live with a piece of music and the muscle memory combined with, whatever photographic memory you have from staring and studying a piece of music for so many decades. It's so interesting to think about how if you were to look at the music, it would seem foreign, and it might even be confusing for a moment to actually have in front of you the music after it's been ingrained in your body and in your mind for decades.
I would suppose so. I know people who memorize and then they're looking up at something just to have it there in case. It almost is more unnerving to have it there because they're so used to not having it there. But I'm sure David is very flexible with that. I just wanted to mention that trumpet concerto was written in 1796. So Haydn was 64 years old. This is late in Haydn's life.
Hmm.
And this is about the time that trumpets were just starting to get not valves really, but buttons and holes on the instrument so they could actually play a chromatic scale. Because before that time, it was just a natural trumpet. And so they had a very limited range and they could only really play the harmonic aspects of what was happening. So they just kind of mark the tonic and the dominant chords. And when these new keys got added to the instrument, it meant that they could actually play melodies in the lower range. We think of Bach Brandenburg Concerto Number 2. We do hear a lot of almost chromatic playing, not chromatic playing, but scalar playing in the high trumpet. But that's because they can play so high in the range. The overtone series keeps the notes very close together that are changed just with the lips and the airspeed. And so with this trumpet concerto of Haydn's, he's written it so that even in the lower range, you can play more of a chromatic scale if you want it. And there are chromatic moments in the concerto. So it's kind of an earth breaking work in that sense.
David Hunsicker, principal trumpet, performing Haydn's Trumpet Concerto. Caroline Shaw's Entr'acte opens the evening, and then the concert concludes with Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's Requiem, featuring the Wichita Symphony Chorus and soloists from the Curtis Institute of Music. All of this is on Saturday, November the 19th at Century 2 Concert Hall. It starts at 7:30. If people want to come an hour before, there's going to be a concert talking all about what, kind of what we're talking about today. Give some insights. Daniel will give insights into the music. So that's at 6:30. For tickets, go to wichitasymphony.org or call the Symphony box office at 316-267-7658. Am I forgetting anything?
Not at all. I just wanted to give a shout out for Ryan Beacon, who is the
Yes.
conductor of the chorus, and he's preparing them right now. And we did work together last year when we did the Schubert Mass and G, but he's a wonderful choral director. So
He sure is.
like,
He's a
good expectation.
COVID choral director. Came during COVID, didn't he?
Right, yeah.
Came to the university and also directs the chorus. It'll be great to see his work displayed once again. Okay, thank you, Daniel, for being here, everybody. Once again, November the 19th, the Mozart Requiem featuring the Symphony Orchestra and Chorus. Thanks for being here, Daniel.
Thank you, Katelyn.
Oh, and you know what I do want to say? I want to say that people do have an opportunity to hear the Wichita Symphony Youth Orchestras this weekend.
Yes.
Their concerts are Saturday and Sunday. The program has grown so immensely over the decades, where it used to be there'd just be like, I don't know, maybe one Sunday afternoon concert with two groups playing, but now there are so many wonderful things happening with that program. You have to spread it over the span of 2 days.
Exactly. We have 3 levels of youth orchestra. So the chamber players just for strings, the repertory orchestra, which is kind of the intermediate group, and then the youth orchestra, which is the top group, plus the wind ensemble, which has been added in just recent years. So that's why you have to split it into 2 days.
That would be a very long concert.
Everyone should come out to hear
Yes.
these young people play.
It's really quite amazing how good they are.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Daniel. Have a wonderful Masterworks concert, and I look forward to hearing the chorus featured again.
Yes. Thank you, Katelyn.
Have a good day.
There. Okay.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.